Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining. I see who is here. Some people like the video, so somebody's probably here, or they'll be back. All right. So let's do introductions. DL, you want to go first?
I'm D.L. Stewart. I write adult medieval fantasy. My debut novel, The Battle for Medagore, is currently available on Amazon, Barnes& Noble, all that stuff. And tonight I will be working on some self-edits and revisions to Book 2, Sovereign Duties.
Nice. Cool. As you know, I'm off the DL Tillery, and this is my channel. We do these streams on Tuesdays. Not always every Tuesday, but that's my plan nonetheless. I will be actually working on I'm an alpha right now for another author tuber, and I'm trying to finish doing that because I have to like pay attention to certain things in it. So I want to finish doing that. But I'm taking off was it June? June, because I was supposed to be May that I was going to take off of anything else besides my own project. So I won't be able to alpha for anybody in June, since I have to focus on Cagliostro and do the self-edit thing and yeah, all that jazz. And because I was also doing a commission costume for somebody, I also do costume design. So I was really busy with that. Just finally about finished that. Great, turn that over to the person this week, so I can finally focus on Cagliostro next month and actually start trying to get payments into my cover designer. So that should be interesting. Hey, Supernova, thanks for joining. What's up? Haven't seen you in a minute. Glad to see you joined us. We're going to be running a somewhat of a strict show tonight. We're going to do 5-minute chats in between of waiting to sprint. We're going to do 15-minute sprints. We should be doing about 3. So I have to be out here in about an hour. But I did want to make sure I came on here and did this. So it helps get people writing. I always love to do it. So, but life could get in the way sometimes, especially when you have children. So I only have one, but one is like 15. So, and you got 3. So you got like an army of kids. That's what, that's what it is.
I was like
it. So definitely, like, you got 3. I'm like, that. Bow to you then.
See those memes or whatever, or those commercials like first child is like all trying to do everything for them about second, third, fourth. They're like, yeah, it'll be all right.
Yeah, you'd be like, oh, you're doing this.
Hey, let me clean you up before we go out.
I remember everything and pack everything, and then like as kid, listen. Yeah, I did that at first, and then by the time she was like 2, I was like, all right, let's go. We don't need none of that stuff.
Yep. So you got that back now. It'll be all right.
That's the only one I'm having, so I was like,
I'm not changing them at the store. It'll be all right.
Just go feel. It'll be all right, you know. So yeah. All right. Let me read what Nova said. Yeah, a lot of people passed away lately. It's been quite quiet for a while. I need to escape, you know. Oh yeah, there's a lot going on with this pandemic stuff too. A lot of and just the regular stuff that goes on in general on top of that. So yeah. So I'm sorry you've been going through stuff, but yeah, if we can help you escape to something, I'm happy to do so. But yeah, so we're gonna start off our sprint in about a minute. And maybe somebody else will pop in. Like we do have a few people. Hey, Jennifer Brown, thanks for joining. Oh, Supernova, I'm so sorry to hear that. That's terrible. My condolences. That's never a time for that, and you can't get ready for such things. So, definitely, my prayers go out to you and your family for sure. Especially during these times. It's already enough going on with all that. Yeah. Definitely getting some writing done. Definitely. Let that release that into the writing for sure. So, but yeah, we do 15-minute sprints. Pop back in, chat a little bit, pop back out. So we should get at least 3 sprints in the night. So I will be doing that reading thing. Try to get through some of that, but you gotta like pay attention. So it's not like I'm having fun just reading. I'm enjoying the read, but I also have to like it's kind of like working too when you're alpha. You'll be like, is there a plot hole here? I found the hole. Like, so you gotta be paying attention. Yeah. Oh, okay, cool. Worked on curse tonight. Awesome. You know, I always like anything that had that word in it. So that means it's probably good. Or death or just DL's name on the book. We know. So, so have
Uh,
death in it, which I love. I love that in books. So some good killings. It's always a plus. All right, so let's
mhm.
go ahead and jump on that first sprint. We will be returning at 8:20. And happy writing. See you in 15. And that's time. How did everybody do who wrote with us? And you can let us know what you're working on if you did not already let me know in the comments. I managed to finish about half a chapter, I believe. I only had to make one note so far. Not too bad. How about you, Dio?
I got not quite halfway through a chapter.
Cool.
On chapter 4 at the moment.
Nice. Cool. The Supernovas, a song for Curse. Cool. Oh my goodness. I don't know if I'm looking forward to doing my self edits in June or not. Oy.
I like self edits. I find it a lot easier than drafting.
Easier because the story's written already, and this is after our editor has had it too. So
yeah,
I know exactly where to edit it. So it's not even like an entire. Because I already did the self edit for us before that, but now it's just like spot editing. So I know scenes that I want to add too that I need to put in. I know where I want to put them in. So it probably won't take me that long to do it with the whole book. So it probably won't be that bad. It's just that I'm like cringing thinking about it. I don't do it. All right, see. One sent in the comments. Yeah, that's I finished. See, critiquing tiredness today. Just gathering myself to get back to work. Yeah, it's getting time for that for quite a few people. I'm working like part time myself, off 1 week, work 1 week, somewhat off 1 week, work some week. So, after being off for a week, though, for like 10 days, in my case, sometimes I'm like trying to get back into like going to work. So, can I just go back home and watch some drama? I don't want to. That was ready to transition into working from home actually before the whole COVID thing. So I had to put that on the back burner probably until the beginning of next year. Oh, you gotta have like certain things in place for you to do that. I was just blessed to be able to still pay all my bills one time, pretty much, with all the stuff that's going on. So a lot of people are not that blessed in that situation. Like it's still been somewhat of a struggle to make sure that I could do that to cut back on other things, and especially since my money, like I lost like half my clients.
Yeah,
even though
I was lucky. My wife got promoted like back in November, I think.
Yeah.
October, November, somewhere in there.
Yeah, it's not good. Like it's like 30 million people on unemployment. It's kind of really getting it's really ridiculous at this point. But yeah. So I'm sorry about that you lost both your jobs. I mean, the unemployment thing is like, and so many people still need their unemployment. They had opened it up for people like me who own my own business, a sole proprietor, but it's just, if you don't lose enough, then they're not going to even help you with the amount that you did lose. You know what I'm saying? So that's just how employment works in general anyway. So I didn't even bother with that. I was going to, but I'm not completely, all my clients were completely gone. Some was still paying me. Probably like 3 of the 8 I lost was still paying me, even though I wasn't working. But yeah, so it still affects my income because your income is what it is, and your way you live is based to that. So it's like, and I like how some of the politicians, especially the Republicans, is like Mitch McConnell, $1,200. That should last in like 3 months. I'm like, my son, how would you know? You have millions. How would you know how far $1,200 goes? Like, just stop. Just stop talking. Just keep your old mouth shut. Just stop. Like, $1,200. Like, what world? Oh, is it a world you visit regularly? I mean, I'll move there. I mean, it's that cheap to live. Like, is it rent $1?
So that doesn't even last a month here. What are you talking about?
$1,200. My son, what? There's nobody rent not even that. And it don't matter what area you live in. You live in a city, the rent is higher than that. What you talking about? You gotta look around so bad to find a place that's under 1,000, and it's probably going to be a dumpster fire if you do.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm in
That's
Maryland.
one reason why I decided to buy a house. It's so much cheaper.
It
on us a
is.
month.
I'm like, I'm getting a house built in a couple years, but that's why I need to keep my shit together where I have it and getting it towards so I can get the loan to be able to buy the land in the house.
We're planning down. We got this, and we're hoping to have this paid off by the time the kids get out of school.
Right.
Or once they graduate, then we're going to buy some land and have a house built.
Right.
So but, I mean, we're paying right around $400 a month for this.
Right. So it's like that. The mortgage is definitely better, but you have to be able to get to that because I'm like, I don't plan on doing that whole thing. People like, I'll buy a house and then let's go. I'm not doing that. When I buy a house, I'm not moving again. I'm tired of that shit. Because when I rent, that's what you do when you rent. You know, when you rent, you're not going to be staying probably if you rent with option to buy. So I'm like, well, I'm not doing that whole spiel. Like, oh, I'm going to buy this townhouse. And then after I buy this townhouse, I'm going to go buy this other house that's this amount of bedrooms. And then I'm going to sell this and I don't want to fucking move around a million times.
Mm-hmm.
I want to settle down. I'm 35. I want to settle down, and that's it. So by the time I'm about 38, which I'm thinking an X amount of time that I have in order to get my other stuff together to be able to buy the land and get the loan, I'll be about 38. I'm not moving again. When I buy that house, that's it. That's it.
I know when we was looking to buy this house or whatever, of course, we plan on staying here until the kids are out of school, and then after that, we're going to build a house and stay there the rest of our lives. Yeah. But when we was looking, we found a plot of land. I think it was like 18 acres or something for like $1,100. I was like, I hope that's still available in fucking like however many years.
Dude, that's crazy as well.
And they already had fucking plumbing and electricity ran there.
I found some because I'm staying in the county I'm in, and I found some land that was about, I don't want anything a lot. As I had to think about taking care of it too.
Yeah, I was about to say, I would.
I was thinking about like, listen, no, because first of all, I don't even want to be doing all that crazy stuff, and the only reason I need is I don't like being around people. So me having the seclusion, especially when I go home, I'm fine socially when I'm doing stuff, but when I go home, I don't want to see other humans besides the ones in my house. Like, so when I get the land, I was thinking like, I don't really want to get anything more than 8 to 10, and that's pushing it. And I prefer some of that is wooded and away from my house. Where my house is up to a flat land.
They're all like 18 acres. They had like electricity ran out there, but there's like no buildings or anything.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's mostly for like some lighting that somebody had set up on like telephone poles.
Yeah.
And they had a plumbing line because somebody had originally intended on making a house out there. But it was all like shrubs and trees and stuff. Yeah. It still hadn't been cleared out or anything like that.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think the one I looked at was like it had all right, it's good for building, and the rest of it was wooded. And then
I mean, it was mostly flat.
It had a septic system already, so I wouldn't have to dig that. And it had, I think, an outhouse somewhere, building or something for whatever. But then it did have this one has solar paneling and everything already too. I guess right, who are you going to power? But I was like, that's a plus. I would obviously get solar paneling. I really want that, but I want to wait. Obviously, I was buying a house, but I was like, this looks good. But I think that was like, I think the one that was like 8 acres or whatever with that. The one that had all the other stuff was a lot of acreage with that stuff I just said. So I would probably go for it just because of that. I think it was like 15 acres, which is pushing past what I want. But I think it was only like, I want to say like 150,000 or something, 200,000 for the land, which is pretty cheap for here in Maryland. So I was like, that's not a bad price. But then I have to think about the house getting built. And it is cheaper to get your house built than to buy a house and then add on to it and change it. That costs more. So if you go by the square footage that you need, because I'm getting the architect to draw up plans. I might have to talk to you, DL, about drawing up.
I was about to say, I got my blueprints.
Yeah,
I think I've showed you the big old.
Yeah, you showed me. So I might actually talk to you about the design and see if I can get you maybe a design rather pay somebody who already know who does that. So do that and then find a builder and company to do it. But I want to make sure it's based on the square footage I need. I'm not going to have rooms that's not useful, because that's another thing too. So if you find a place you want when you just buying a house, then you might have X amount of rooms that you might not need, or a room that's not shaped the way you want and you can't utilize it for what you need. So I think building a house would be better, because that way I could be like, okay, well, it's me and mom, it's 5 of us, it's 4 adults and my daughter, and she's going to grow. So I wanted to have the main part of the house with me and my older brother and the baby, and then my mom, her own specialty small type of sectional house, and then my little brother like apartment style part. And I wanted to have breezeways connecting those, and maybe make it in an L shape type thing. And I like glass, so I wanted bigger windows and stuff, and then have the blinds and stuff made in between where you can use the remotes or whatever. And my mom doesn't really want it upstairs in her. She wants like 5 steps and then go up to her bedroom is. And she only needs like a kitchen, an exercise room. And her kitchen doesn't even have a stove, because she's a raw vegan. So she need like a refrigerator and then one of those dehydrator type stoves. And then she would cook my little brother stuff in her kitchen, because he doesn't cook for himself. So he wouldn't need a kitchen. His would just be like an apartment attachment with a bathroom. He needs the one room where he can have like a couch in or whatever. So again, the house would be very specifically shaped for our needs, where we each get our own separation, but also connected somewhat still. So, I mean, I already have very specific plans in my head. That type of house doesn't exist in Maryland, because they don't have a lot of modern houses here unless they are built here. So that type of thing wouldn't be something I could just like, walk around fine type of thing without paying an arm and a leg. I'll be better off getting it built. It'd be cheaper for me if I did that. So I already know I'm going to get a crazy amount of loan, but that's okay. I'm willing to do that. And I probably could get some good loans, because I'm a minority female, and my credit would be pretty good by then too. I've been building my credit for the last X amount of years. So we'll see what happens. Let's see what everybody saw about in the comments. I know Supernova was saying quite a bit, so let's make sure I catch up with her. Let's see. Yeah, this year does suck. I agree with that. Yeah, it's not a damn pandemic though. See, you're in Florida. They are backed up really bad. Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah, you filed back in February. What the fuck, dude?
It's like I filed my taxes back then. I still ain't
Yeah,
got.
I heard people saying they got their taxes and unemployment. Ain't neither one of them. I didn't hear anything. It is a dumpster fire. That's a dumpster fire too.
Yeah, they put me under review and told me to call like after 60 days, and then I called, and then they're closed because of the whole pandemic. I was like, all right.
This shit is just like,
I want my $11,000. Come on, hurry up.
Stop fucking with me, right? Yeah.
I got plans.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if you live in a dumpster fire and live in a dumpster fire, be like, listen, ain't no $1,200 going nowhere, especially when nobody got no job. Like, what get $1,200 going to do? You got no job. You buy food and stuff. Like, food free. I didn't know that. I've been going to the market all this time paying for food. The fuck? I just walked up in there and filled my cart up and left. Didn't know that. I don't have to pay for food. That's cool. Or rent. Or car payment.
Oh my hell, we've spent almost all of ours. We got almost $4,000.
Right. I mean, I got 17 because I have one child. My little brother did not see his because I think he owed like an old cell phone thing. And then he owed a bank like $200. I think they both took that. So he didn't even get his $1,200. Because now they're going to do a second stimulus. They're trying to. Anyway, Dems are trying to get another one in there. But they're saying they're not going to let them just people who owe you take the money, because it's kind of pointless because you're in a pandemic. It's not like you can afford to pay anybody anyway still. So them taking it is kind of like, that's not, you know what I'm saying? So they're not going to try to allow that to happen this time around. But I'm like, you guys should have thought about that the first time around. You know what I'm saying? But whatever. It's what it is. Can't do shit about that. And my mom, she didn't get one because my mom is on SSI. Well, they totally the government fucked her out of her Social Security disability, because if you're out of work for over a year and you haven't gotten diagnosed with whatever's wrong with you that's stopping you from working, and she didn't have health care because she wasn't fucking working. And as a person who's working, I can't put my mother on my health care, Maryland. So she had no health care to get diagnosed. So they know what's wrong with her. She just couldn't wash, couldn't do anything. I was taking care of her, and then go to the hospital. You got hospital, but you can't, So when Obamacare came around, she could get health care because it was free. So she got health care, got diagnosed, had MS, had DDD in her back, all kinds of stuff. They said she probably had MS her whole fucking life, and it started just coming out more now when she's older. So she's out of work. She couldn't fucking work. But then when she get the lawyer and all this stuff, because of course they denied her, but they always deny you. And they were like, oh yeah, well, you were out of work and you had no health record showing what was wrong with you. So we're going to fucking steal all your money from when you were working since you were 12. So you get SSI, which is no fucking money. It's like it was $700, but then they giving her like $500 or whatever because they decided to go back in and steal more money from her of the little chump change they decided to give her. So I'm like, you know what, government, go fuck yourself. Like that's not your money. Like when people are like, whoa, these people are on Social Security, living on the government. Like, first off, stop running your mouth because those people have been working their whole life. I'm not talking about people who just using the system and got money never works. Most of the people have worked their whole lives for that money. Government not giving you nothing because they wouldn't give you nothing because they don't like you. Okay,
they'll take it.
They will take your money. They wouldn't give you nothing. Look, soon as they got
right now, we're like paying in, and they're saying that we probably will never even be able to qualify for Social Security.
Yeah, they send people in our age range week. They said there's gonna be nothing left for you guys at all. I think that's funny. Paying in. Really, why am I paying in that? I've been paying in since I was 12, since I've been working. Yeah. I'll never see a dime, but you get to keep my money though, right, government? Yeah, I don't want to hear you. Your system is flawed at F. You don't care because you're rich and you're keeping everybody's money. I find that funny. But yeah, so since I carry my mom because she lives in the house, so I carry her. She can't work. Oh yeah, if your parent is on SSI and you get Social Security, they don't get a check because if you carry them, then they don't get a check. Like I don't even get that much from carrying her. I just put her on it because obviously she's a dependent, an adult dependent. I don't get like money like when I get my daughter or anything. I barely notice a difference. I could just not put her on there. It wouldn't make a difference. It really doesn't change anything. What, I don't know, a few bucks? And it'd be like, oh, she can't get her money because of that. I'm like, you always try to find a way to screw people, right? Yeah, I like that. But stop trying to act like it's your money, government. It's not. Not your money. Everybody works for that shit, so stop. Try acting like you. And that's why, I just really can't stand people who try like they understand how stuff works. Like, I've been in a store before with somebody using an EBT card, and then people have something to say, like, or I always love it, like, when I go in the market, and I used to go in the market and spend money, and I spend, like, $400-something, and they're, like, looking at, because I live in a predominantly white area, and they'll look at you like, oh, because I'm brown, I'm probably on EBT, of course. Like, no, bitch, this is my money I earned. And if it was EBT, guess what? That's my money, too. That's my money, too. Think they just giving it to me because of whatever? No. But no, I'm not. I have never had that. But you know what? Even people that do, they have it most of the time because they worked for it. Government not giving you anything that you're not entitled to because they don't. Why would they? And of course, we have people in the system that's abusing it who shouldn't get that. And they usually give to those people easier. The other people who really sitting there got to fight for that shit. Mm-hmm. They want to run you through the mud and embarrass the fuck out of you just to get the little bit of chump change they want to give you. I'm like, people should just shut their mouths. That's why I can't stand when people start saying something about how somebody's surviving. Like, are you in their fucking shoes? Oh, you're not? Then shut the fuck up. So annoying. I don't want to hear nothing about anything people talk about people right now, especially when people trying to survive and all these people don't have jobs and stuff, and people still got something to say. Like, ooh, just want to punch him in the face. Can't. We're all just in a fucked up position. We all may be in the same position. We all in different boats, but it's still fucked up no matter how you look at it. Come on, thing, catch up. I hear the kids.
Yeah, I hear them crying back there. I don't know what happened, but they're crying.
Kids.
Yep.
Those people say you want to restore old house, if I can raise enough money. Yeah, that could be a good deal. Like if you get a really good deal on a house that's like really really cheap, and then if you could fix it up, that's definitely much. If you
I know. Me and my wife thinking about getting my grandparents' old house. Mm-hmm. They used to live out in the country. I mean, it's an old house, probably built in like the 30s or 40s or something. It's all run down and stuff. Yeah. But I mean, it's on, I think, about 10 acres of land. It's got a nice barn that they had built. It's got like concrete flooring in the barn with the dirt on top of it. Yeah. So it's really insulated. It's thick walls. They got electricity out there, and a bunch of other like small buildings, like a little storage shed, workstation.
Cool. Sounds like that might be a possibility for you guys.
Yeah, it's out in the middle of nowhere. We're thinking about buying it and possibly using that land when we do build our house. or trying to sell it because my grandma won't sell it. She thinks nobody wants it because the house is just falling apart. I was like, nobody's gonna buy it for that fucking house. They're gonna buy it for that land.
Yeah, they'll buy the land. Just be like, either restore that or knock that shit down and build another.
Yeah, I mean it's all wood and houses or whatever, and it's like half falling apart. Just take a bulldozer. They'll be done in like an hour. Just drive right through it.
Build a new house on that shit. They got the points of land though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but she lives in like a senior nursing home or non-nursing home, but like a senior apartment with like almost like assistant living type ordeal. Now, so we think about doing that, but we haven't talked to her yet. I figure eventually she's probably going to leave it in her will to my mom, since she has 3 daughters, my mom, and then I got 2 aunts. But one of them lives in North Carolina, and the other one lives in like Oklahoma.
Oh yeah,
so mom's here. I figure it's going to go to my mom, and then we'll just give it to me anyways.
Yeah, if she's there, that makes sense. So, but yeah, you guys, it's a lot easier than trying to hunt up some land.
Yeah, and I know we're going to get my mom's house once she dies or whatever, because I'm an only child. And then Amber's dad passed away in January. Her stepmom still lives there, but she said that she's thinking about moving somewhere else because they have like I think he's about 40, but like a disabled, like mentally disabled, can't eat or anything child. And she's wanting to move somewhere else with him. And then she already told us that before her dad passed, that they put it in his will for us to have the house whenever it's all said and done. So we're gonna have all of this land. I'll probably sell some of them or whatever.
Yeah,
I might use some of that money.
Live on them all, yo.
I know she's like, well, we could just keep them and rent them, and then once our kids get old enough, we just kick them out and let them live there.
Listen, that's a good idea, but then again,
I was like, well, that's only 2 livable houses, and we have 3 kids.
Hey, let them duke it out.
Unless we build a house, and this would be the 3rd house, I guess.
Well, like one of my clients, they own an apartment. Plaza house they own or whatever, but they own an apartment in Baltimore, and their daughters like live there. Like the one didn't, but the other 2 did live there, so they rent free. So you know what I mean, because it helped them out a little bit. But yeah,
so we thought about that. I don't know. We might rent it out to people for a little while.
You could do that and get some kind of money coming in from that. But being a landlord is I want to really think about that again. Just saying, you're better off selling it, because sometimes you get some people, you'd be like, listen, it's not really worth it, because you really got to be involved. You got to be like,
I know.
And people start living in the house, stuff get worse, stuff breaks, stuff get used.
I know.
Like, listen.
The first house I ever rented was me and like those 5 other people when we all lived in that party house. I had a landlord. He was like our closest neighbor, and he lived like half a mile down the road. It was out like in the middle of nowhere, outside town on the highway. And he came by and we was looking at it. And he's like, I'm going to tell y'all right now, I'm too old to be fixing shit. I don't want y'all calling me at 2 a.m. in the morning because y'all broke something. If you break it, you fix it, or you live with it broken. I'm not doing anything. I told my wife, I was like, that's probably the type of landlord I am. I was like, you break it, deal with it.
Well, hey, as long as you're putting that in your lease and, you give us some good rent price, you probably would be fine. But it's like, listen, at least you know that going out the gate, because you get landlords to be like, not telling you that shit. And, usually it's the landlord's responsibility.
We broke a window, put holes in the ceiling.
Dude.
We had to fix a bunch of shit.
Well, that's different. I mean, like wear and tear stuff like piping and stuff like that. Like,
oh, yeah, we had to replace some piping. Like, we lived there like not even a week, and the drain pipe underneath the sink and one of the bathrooms broke off. It was all rusted and stuff.
Yeah, no. Listen, nah, my boy.
But everything else we broke. Doors, holes in walls, windows.
And while you rent your house to younger people or just human beings in general, it's going to be something happening.
Oh, yeah. It's like we was all like 18, 20 tops.
You would expect that. That's why
it was a party house.
No, he fixed it. I'll see what else. My sister wants to move to Norway. Turns out my dad's 100% Viking. Nice. And also Irish, Scottish, Welsh, and a bunch of other stuff thrown in there. Aren't we all? We're all very mixed. I'm Puerto Rican, Mexican, Indian, Native American, Black, and I have some British and Welsh in there too. Apparently, I have a family crest and everything. Apparently, some of the people from the Native American side was getting it on some people from there too. So, which isn't too surprising. So I would just say I'm multicultural. I'm multiracial. I don't pick, in America, it'd be like, oh, well, you're brown, so you're black. Oh, you're what are you? Are you Asian? I'm just gonna call you Asian. I'm like, that doesn't mean anything. What's Asian? What is that? That's not a. What is that? Like, are they Indian? Are they Chinese? Are they Japanese? Are they Korean? What do you mean by that? Like, throwing out Asian. That's America, though. Asian.
Are you Russian?
What are you? I don't know.
A lot of people forget Russian is fucking Asia.
Listen,
I was talking to somebody. They're like,
you check history, the way humans work. Like, really, Native American people are like originally Russian, and then it got ran to Japan, and then it Inuit people of Japan, then they got raped and ran from there. I'm really seriously. I think my people was like, I don't know what happened, but people liked raping them a lot, chasing them, killing them. I mean, I don't know what's happening.
I was gonna say a lot of them would travel from like the tip of Russia to Africa or Alaska. Yeah. Or we were chasing buffalo and shit like that.
So like they got ran from there. So like going back far, my ancestors are like Native Americans are like Russian, and then Russians a long time ago, and then
Native American on my mom's
Japanese.
side.
That's why you'll notice like Native Americans have like an Asian look, as they want to say Asian. Or Japanese looks, the Inuit people of Japan. Kind of like happened with that. When some got ran out of there, then you got running over here. They found the land mass. Then there's Mexican people, of course, are related to Native Americans because Native Americans got raped by Spaniards, and then that's where Mexican people come from. So that's why you find Native American blood in Mexican blood. So it's like everybody got raped, and then before in the past, it used to actually. Like when that happened and there was like the new race of people because of the mixing, they would actually name the race and they'd be like, this is a new race of people. Not anymore. Now it's like, you're mixed. We can't even figure you out. You're not getting a label. You're going to be over there with those people. Oh, what's that? You're Hispanic? Like that. What is that even? What is that even? Oh, you're Hispanic? That's what you are. They make sure they ask you that first. We need to know if you're Hispanic because we don't like you. So we're going to make sure we circle that first. And what's those other things you are? We're not really paying attention to those other things. You're Hispanic. We know we don't like you. So we got you marked down. They make sure they point that one out. It's very important that you make sure you tell us if you're Hispanic or not. And we make sure you say that that's non-white, Hispanic. You don't need any of that getting us confused, So they always put that on stuff and I'm always laughing like... You really need to know that? Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll just circle everything because what's the point? Like, I'm so mixed up, I don't even care. I'm like, just circle all them shits. They be like, what is this? It's called humans. Check it. That's what happens. We've been here for a while. Ain't nobody 100%. Well, unless you're Chinese and you live in China. Chinese people don't play that. Just saying. China has like the most people in the world. If you want to go back to like history, like, Asia is like it's a lot of history of Asia, man. I love the history in Asia. My older brothers like half Japanese. Like I would have loved to actually been some Japanese. I love the Japanese culture. And they actually got a name for that. Like they call you like a weeb or some bullshit. So people gotta try to name stuff. Like you like something, they try to name shit. Like stop naming stuff, please. It's annoying. You're not helping yourself with that bullshit. Steven Nova's at least talking to us tonight. Nobody else is. Yeah, this is true. They don't like us. The go. They never like us. They like using us. Like us using us to buy them yachts though. And pay for their mistresses and stuff. They like using us for that. Yeah, they knew about it. Yeah, they knew about it possibly even a little bit before that. They knew about it in December. Apparently, there was paperwork being sent to peoples, and they were like, "You know what we going to do? Dump our stocks, y'all. Got to worry about that bottom dollar." They didn't care. They were worried about their money. Nothing new about that though. They like our money, so I always taking it. Yeah, you're right. Yep. Yeah, I know some people, like some landlords actually was trying to send people evictions and shit. Be like, where'd he get that from? Did they type it up on a computer? Because court systems are closed. Like, some people are like, oh, your landlord's evict. I'm like, they can't evict you. Now they can do it once the court systems go back up. But if they try to say something, what are they gonna do? They can't. They can't pull up no papers. They can't go file nothing. Like, so they trying to just hopefully you'll be like scared enough to leave. Like, no, people not working. I didn't put you in real estate. Pandemics happen. You might not be getting nobody out your house. You might not be getting no money either. Just saying. Same with electric, yeah. Well, the electric was being pretty good, but that's probably state by state. But they were saying that they weren't going to be.
Yeah, I know here You still got to pay everything, but a lot of companies around here, especially like electric or whatever, they don't charge late fees. They still want you to pay your bill, but if you're late on it, they're not going to charge you a late fee.
Oh, that's good though.
I mean, if you get like 2 or 3 months behind, you're still got 2 or 3 months worth of bills to pay. But
I think BGE said the same thing. Guys, we ready to start the next sprint. We got off on a tangent talk, but that's okay. It is what it is. That's cool. No, but I knew I liked you. You're mixed. You're super mixed like me. Okay.
yeah, I know I'm Native American, Scottish, and a little bit of English, like from England and stuff.
Yeah,
And on my mom's side, it's Native American and English.
Yeah.
And I don't know much about my dad or anything like that, but I know Stewart, the surname comes from Scotland. So
yeah, my father's side, it's the Indian and the Native American, and I think that's where we also get the British part too. When I found out the family crest, and my mom's side is like all the like Puerto Rican, Mexican, Black, and there's some British or something or English or something on that side too. So yeah, I'm a person, right? We can just establish that and just be like, we're humans. The humans are so full of themselves; they can't get over their labels. You know, they just cannot even. America is like one of the worst places, but it's not surprising because it's a baby country. It's a baby country that's too new for its own britches, and how it came about. It's really no surprise how racism was such a big problem here. And you talk to people from other countries, and I'm friends with a lot of people from other countries. They're all so shocked when they found out like America's so much of a racist problem all over the entire country. They assume it's just in the South. But I'm like, let me tell you now, it's not. It could be worse, definitely in the South. Don't get me wrong. However, it definitely is widespread in this country, and that's how it is. We know systematic racist system going on here, but it's how the country's established. Like, so it's not surprising that it's still going on. It's a baby country; it hasn't been around that long, so it's really not that shocking. Yeah, we should have like a person party. Do we celebrate our similarities and differences? Yeah, that would be cool. Sometimes people are surprised about their similarities, I'm sure. All right, so let's go ahead and jump on our next sprint. Let's do a 15 and see what we come up with. I will count us out and I'll put a timer up too, guys, and I will time it. Make sure I come back at the right time. So this is an off minute. All right, 3, 2, 1, and right. See you in 15. And we're back. Last time. Ay. Hey, Key. That's cool. No worries. As long as you're getting work done, you're good. Even if you weren't getting work done, you're still good. But yeah. How'd you do, Dio?
I got a little bit farther. I went and seen what the kid was crying about a while ago.
Yeah.
Apparently, she didn't get a piece of gum that she wanted. Yeah.
Sounds about right.
But I got a little bit farther in that chapter. I got about to where Alec actually starts assaulting Darius's mother.
Oh, okay, cool. Oh, pretty good. Good job. Good job. Oh my. I think I made it through another chapter and a part, so just trying to get that done. Hopefully. So you see, Supernova said almost done with the song, so once that's done, I can get back to writing. Cool. So we'll only chat for a few minutes, and then we'll jump on the last sprint. Make sure we get those 3 in. Oh, but yeah, so hopefully next month I'll be able to get through my book and get that done. And then, cause I'm just my cover artist said that I can just he does like he'll take half of it of the payment and then do the whole thing, and then you can give him the other half once you're satisfied with what he does or whatever. So I'll just save up until I can give him the half of it, and then he can start working on it. The time I release, at least I'll have everything ready. I know who I want to do the audio book, so once I get my cover paid off, after that, he's going to do my formatting. Then I'll probably contact Adam Gold and see if I can talk to him about that. I haven't found the female yet to do the female voices in the book, but I'm looking. I can figure out the budget I need for that. I see. And
I think once I get my taxes in, I'm going to go ahead and have somebody do all 3 covers to finish out the Metagore series.
Good.
So get all that done.
Cool. Get it done while you can. Especially, did you were you planning to use 8 little pages before they went out of business? Or?
Yeah. I know it took them forever for the first one, and I didn't really like how they just kind of ghosted at times. Yeah. Come back and whatever. Somebody was sick, whatever excuse. But I did like the work that they did, and I wasn't on a deadline, so I wasn't too stressed about them taking forever. Because I said I wasn't going to set a release date until everything was done, and all I had to do is hit submit on Amazon or whatever. So I was going to go ahead and use them for the rest of the series, since they already did the first one and they already knew kind of what I wanted for each book. So they already kind of knew how they was going to continue the series. Yeah. Kind of tie it all together. So I was going to use them for that. I might not have used them for formatting. I had them do the first one, but I was going to have Aphrodite kind of show me how to do it myself.
Yeah, she's good.
Just so whenever I do my memoir, I was planning on doing everything. So I was like, if I can do it then, I'll just go ahead.
Also, it's good to learn it, even if you don't plan on utilizing it. At least you'll know when something's not right when you see it. You know what I'm saying? So that's always a plus, to know how to do something, even if it's only for that reason, to spot when someone's not doing the job to the way you want it. You know what I mean? So I've seen a lot of botch.
I had them do the first one, and then afterwards, they'll do like I think up to like 30 changes. Like after the formatting, if you get to free, there's mistakes, they'll do like up to 30 for free. Yeah, and then after that, they start charging however many. Yeah. So I found not quite 30 like misspelled words, forgot to put period, something like that, or I put the quotation marks. It was like there was a space between it or some shit. So a couple things like that. So I had them fix it, and I was thinking, I don't want to pay just a few little typo things like this just for somebody to do it when it's really not changing the format. So I was like, I might as well just figure out how to do it myself, just in case there's more. I'm like, all right, I'll let them do their 30 for free, and then I'll just do the rest.
Exactly. That's why it's best to know how to do some stuff, even if you're not.
Yeah, I wasn't going to have them do the rest of the series, but since they kind of went under,
you gotta find somebody else.
Yeah, I talked to somebody earlier today, just kind of see if they thought they could do it. I sent them the cover I have for the first book. I was like, I want it still kind of the same style, like the dark with the red that pops, and then the artistic type,
like
not like
drawings.
high def images, but like kind of the
Yeah,
artsy
I get
style or whatever.
right. Like it's drawn, but
Yeah.
stays like more in that door. I get you. Yeah, you probably find somebody. I'm sure.
Yeah, I was talking to Julia Mibble,
Mm-hmm.
I guess Mibl
Mm-hmm.
or whatever, and she said that she could try it. I was like, all right. So whenever I get my taxes, I'm gonna let her attempt the second one and see how that looks. And if she does it good, I might go ahead and let her do book 3 and 4. Just get it out of the way.
Good call. Good call. At least you got somebody. It's good. Keith said, finish the section I was working on and hit a section that I had to write. I missed it when I was writing the story. Yay. Yeah, I feel you there. Two notes I've been doing a chapter a day. Honestly, I think I'll be done in a month or two and then can do editing. Cool. Raise hand. What are you raising your hand about? I call street for voices. Laugh out loud. I would want to pay you either way. But I'd have to, of course, hear you, audition for it because I have a very distinctive sound. That's why I found with this one guy, Adam Gold, to do Cagliostro, and he has such a wide depth that he can do all the other males in the book, and it would work out. So that worked out good. And I need female to do Allison, but also hopefully I can find a female could also do Delata and Catherine. That's in the book, and then a flashback with his mother as well. So I would need someone who had, of course, can do multiple different sounds, but very, very important about Allison's voice. So I would know when I hear it. You just know when you hear your character. So that's how I found with Adam Gold fit very well for what I was looking for Cagliostro, though. But yeah, I'll be willing to that. But I would like to pay because I like to pay people. Even if you do it for free, I still would like to pay you. He said, I searched my document for a period followed by a space, a quotation mark, and another space. That found pretty much all the funky quotes. I was talking to DL.
Yeah. Yeah, I usually try to go through a bunch of stuff like that, but I usually go through it and then I'll make some more changes and I forget to go through it again. And it's just, yeah.
Okay, yep. Yep, when I'm ready, as soon as I finish this last edit, and I'll definitely hit you up for audition for sure and see what you got. But yeah, that'd be cool if you're like the person. I was like super excited when I found Adam Gold. Like he's like his voice good looking too, so that's always a plus.
Oh, yeah. I know I was excited whenever I got Danny to do mine.
Oh yeah, man, he's
and like some
awesome.
of my foreign language that I created, I don't know how well this, but how he reads. I don't know if you've heard any samples where he's reading that language.
Yeah,
It's like so fluid and it just like sounds natural. I was like, oh my god!
Really good.
Even me, I'm like, Lies. He just just keeps on like.
Okay, then he's probably really good at languages.
I guess. I don't know how many times it took him to do that, but
that's like okay. I'm a language. I love languages, so I've always been good at languages. I pick them up really easy. If I hear a song too, I can sing it no matter what language it is. But yeah, I pick up languages really, really, really easy. So he might be one of those people. If I hear like when I started watching K drama,
he's not hearing anything. He's having to come up with the sounds himself.
right?
So.
But that's even. But the fact that he can pick it up, even if because people can hear a language, that don't mean that they're going to be able to say it. So the fact that he can do that just by reading it, because more than likely, if you're good at languages, you reading whatever language it may be, you probably can fluently speak it because your brain just works that way. Some people's brains just work that way.
I've read it myself. It's like slow and it's kind of breaking the words down.
Like I said, some people are just made for that.
It's like this is a word, this is a word, and this word. But when he's saying it, if you're not looking at it, it sounds like one long word or something. It's just like so fluid and straight, not really pausing.
You blessed up, and you didn't have to find somebody who was like had to work hard at it. But he knew it, like he said when I watched his interview with you out in channel, when he said like how he picks the projects, and he sees, he knows once he's like, oh, this is I could work this. Like, yeah, so he knew probably
do that stuff in my audition thing. I'm trying to figure. I know I had like different tones and stuff and different characters, but I don't think I put any like foreign language or anything in it.
Yeah, he just was supposed to mesh with your book, man. He did though, very well. So
Can't wait till it fucking finishes going through its quality assurance.
I know, right? That's cool though. Okay, well, how could buy me a copy? I used to want to be a voice actress when I was younger. I do a lot of accents. That's cool. That's cool. No worry. We great jumping on a sprint anyway, Nova. So when you come back, we'll probably be in a sprint. But yeah, so yep, looking for voice actors. I got the male, so I need the female. Well, I have somebody who wants to audition for Nova. um, and yeah, I mean, I think only person I need to definitely have an accent would probably be Catherine. Would need a type of British accent. You could whatever kind, I'll be fine with. And I think Allison no, because she's just like people say American accent, but I'm kind of like
What part?
whatever. I'm like okay, whatever. Um, so if it's not going to be very specific to like a state like New York or like southern states or something like that, then it's like whatever. So um I think Catherine probably the only female. Oh, and Cagliostro's sister, Delata, she needs to have some type of accent. Romanian, maybe a Romanian type sound to her accent. She stayed there for quite a while, so she kind of picked up on that. She's been alive for a long time. She's a vampire, so I think Romanian for her and probably just British for Catherine, more or less. But yeah, so but it doesn't have to be spot on either way, even for Cagliostro, because there's nothing like set in stone because he's lived a long time and has been all over the place. So his accent would be kind of special anyway, for that matter, being around all that time and then living in a supernatural setting on top of that. So who knows what the fuck. So I just wanted to have a British sound to it. It doesn't have to be like very distinctive to a very specific part of Britain or anything like that. So that kind of worked out.
I decided to, uh, like Danny or whatever, I'll do that first video call with him or whatever, kind of going over some of the pronunciations and talking about like what accents I want different characters.
Yeah.
I sent him a list of the characters and kind of how I wanted the voices to sound, but the actual accents, I was like, I don't know. And then me and my wife sat down right before I did that video call. I was like, what kind of accents for like this region and what accents for this region?
Mm-hmm.
And I got there, I was like, do you think you could do like kind of like a Indian type whatever, or like a Scottish, Irish type, or this or that?
Yeah, you did that well.
And just starts talking in it like naturally. It's like, yeah, just like that. That'd be fine.
Yeah, that works. I mean, because it also too him being layered like that, because you have like races and stuff that you made up also, and then also on top of like ones that maybe just in other fantasy aspects, and that you can pretty much make them sound like however you would want. And then if the actor is that versatile, then they can just kind of like read about the character or whatever and just kind of figure out how they think that they would sound, especially if the writer isn't very specific about it. Or
yeah, that's what he was saying. I sent him some like concept art, but I know in that interview he was talking about, he'd get that and just kind of see what they look like and kind of determine what he thought they would sound like, or just by reading or whatever.
Yep.
But I told him, I didn't want them like have different accents or whatever race, like a lot of fantasy is. Elves sound like this, whatever it sounds like.
Right.
I want it, more like our world. If you live in this region, you kind of all have the same accent. You live in this region, you kind of have more of the same accent. However, regardless what race you are, I want something like that. So.
Yeah, I think that's it's cool. He did an amazing job though, so you definitely found the right guy. All right, so guys, we're gonna jump in on our last sprint of the night. It's gonna be at 15. I will put the return time in the comments and put it up on the screen for you to see. So we'll see you in 15. Happy writing. And we're back. How did everyone do? I got through another chapter, so yay me. Supernova said, finish the song. Good job, Supernova. Got you, Dio.
I finished that chapter and started chapter 5.
Cool. Oh, brother. Hey, Aphrodite. Yeah, we're about to roll out. You said you were going to sleep anyway, so no worries. I'm only here a little bit longer than I was going to be, but that's because we talked a little bit on one part longer than I was going to, but that's okay. Didn't go off too far on a tangent. It's not too bad. Keith said, I banged my head on the desk a few times on how I'm going to handle this missing scene. I figured out why I left it unwritten. It's problematic. Bang, bang, bang. Yeah, I feel you on that. I have to go back and put a few scenes in that I'm taking some of the suggestions that my editors said only on something slight about Allison's activities during the book need to be a little bit more layered. So I thought of some things that definitely could work into the story. So I'm going to do that and add some of that in. But I don't agree with her on Allison and Cagliostro's relationship. Like, she didn't think Allison like had a reason enough or something to be attracted to Cagliostro. Like, of course, attraction doesn't have to be explained. It doesn't. It happens to people differently for different reasons. And you know, she's saved by him at the beginning. Everyone knows that at the beginning of the book. And that could be a reason enough. But I also don't need to explain what the attraction is. Cagliostro's is explained, but hers doesn't necessarily need to be explained because of the situation of her not remembering who she is and then being just with him most of the time. I mean, he's like gorgeous as well and supernatural. On top of that, there's a reason why. It's a series. You don't know the reason yet. So everything doesn't have to be explained. Just so we're clear, the story is part horror. So it's like fantasy horror. So that being said, it doesn't have to be explained. You'll probably figure it out by the end of the series. But again, I'm not going to explain that. So it's not a romance story. Just because they're romantic in the first book does not make it a romance story. So I don't need to explain anything of why they are attracted to each other. You'll get it by the end of the series. Let's just say that. If you're interested enough to hang around that long. If you're not, so much I could do about that. Yeah, I know, Aphrodite. I agree. You're ridiculously hot. Like, there's no reason not to like you. Just saying. But yeah, in that situation, most likely the way humans work, and she herself is human at the time. So you become dependent on each other. It happens all the time. Put a man and a woman on an island. Doesn't matter what their background is. Not at least. We're not even going to question that. Doesn't make a difference. Leave them there. No interruptions. What do you want to bet that they're going to be intimate together? I'm just saying. It's human nature. Mm-hmm. Put two women on an island for a long time. Very possibly same outcome. Put two men on an island together. It's human nature. Humans don't like to be alone. They don't like to. So it's a very high possibility. You won't need any other source of reason why you're attracted to them, just for the fact of not wanting to be alone on top of that. And then the time involved. Of course, that was another thing about the time. She was like, well, I just can't get a placement on the time and how much time passed. Again, something else I don't have to explain. I will probably work on the timeline a little teeny bit, but again, you're in a supernatural world. Time does not work the same as in the human world, so it'll seem like time is passing faster, but it's actually a lot slower in there, and it's a lot faster going normal speed out in the human aspects of it, but then it's like you're in here, but then years may have passed to maybe only like a month here or something like that, that type of difference in time. So it may not seem that way, but it can feel like a lot more time has passed than it has. So in a supernatural paranormal type of setting, you don't have to explain everything, and this is horror supernatural type of setting. So you don't explain everything, especially not in the first books. It's not a one-hit wonder. And I also don't have to worry about the traditional publishing issues. Like, is this person going to like it? Who's trying to help me get it published? I don't have to worry about that. I'm pretty much like, here it is. I'm just going to be represented professionally, and then I'm going to get it published. It's not like I have to get, I don't have gatekeepers. This isn't, she wasn't sure. She probably thought, she said, I don't know if you were going traditional or not. I'm like, I did tell you that I wasn't. So.
Yeah, that's how I was with my Metagore series. I'm not even going to try to go traditional because I know there'll be a lot of things that they'd want changed.
Yeah, like no.
Half of these characters do this, do that.
Characters for us, we don't know what's happening. We're confused. Like you get that person, and but then you could have got another person who was said the opposite of that. That's that thing about the gatekeeper thing. Like I'm glad that you don't have to do that anymore. No, thank you. Look, Aphrodite's like Stewart. You got that shirt on? Question mark. Look.
Nope.
No, we don't. We didn't wear our shirts tonight.
No, it's Arkansas and Oregon shirt.
Right, exactly, Key. Because that I think she was like, because even though their relationship is focal in the first book, it's a reason. Everything I do in my story is usually a reason. I'm a horror writer, so this is going to be a mixed genre of horror and supernatural. I say, but they'll probably put on paranormal. It has romance undertones because the two characters' relationship does evolve into that, and not too long after that, by the end of the first book, of course. But that being said, it's not a romance novel. It just has romance in it. Most stories have some kind of romance in it. Doesn't make it a romance story. Just saying. Like whatever. It has romance aspects. Thank you. But that's just how it goes. Yeah, exactly. That's why, because you don't have to worry about the gatekeepers trying to tell you what for. I don't like this. You're gonna get this cover right here, like, but I don't really like that cover. Well, this is what's happening. Everybody was going off about Stephanie Meyer's the new Twilight book, but she's telling it from Edward's perspective in this one. And the cover is a sliced open pomegranate, and it's dripping a little bit at the bottom, and everyone's trying to decipher what it means or whatever. They're like, I don't like this cover, or blah, 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 type of thing about the cover. And like, what's the point of this cover? And is it brain? It's supposed to be like a brain because he can read minds. So one person, I thought it was Mags at first, and another person was like, "Oh, it's dripping blood. Maybe that's what." And somebody trying to decipher. I'm like, you do realize she didn't pick the cover, but they did probably come to her because she is a big name author. They probably like, "Do you like this?" But they still were going to do what they want to do. We think this would work well, Stephanie, because of the reason. And first book was with an apple and then holding the hand and then thing, blah blah blah, and then the pomegranate. And this is from Edward's perspective. She's gonna. I mean, she works for them still, even though she is a big known author. They would get some input from her a little bit now because she is well known. So she sort of had some say in it because she could help choose, but they're still the boss over you either way. But that being said, you won't know what it means because it's the author's decision and or the house that they are with decision on the book cover. And at this point, it doesn't even matter where a book cover is. That's what I was telling people. I'm like, honestly, okay, I'm going to buy it because I've read all the other books and I do want to see it from Edward's perspective, obviously. And do I care if that's a sliced pomegranate? I really don't. Once an author gets that well known and people like your book, like even if you're not well known and you have a following and people like your books, okay, I read DL's books. If DL's cover is completely changed from the next one, you think I'm gonna care? I'm not, because I'm into the story now. So now I just want to read the story. Like his cover is not going to deter me at this point. Like no matter what he turned it to, because I already want to know what's happening next. So that's what I meant by when I told them, like, it doesn't matter what the cover is, because now her story's established. People know what it is. People who don't like it don't like it. Okay, we don't have to worry about them. They're irrelevant. The people that do like it are going to buy it no matter what was the cover. The cover is so very important, especially when you're first starting out as an author, especially in the published world, because that's the first thing people see. That may be their selling point before they even know what your book is about. So you have to be very sure of what you want. You can love it. Of course, I don't mean everyone's going to love it, but you do want it to be able to grab attention enough based around what you're trying to sell to the public. So before, no, if she was a nobody and she like had a sliced pomegranate on the cover, that's going to appeal to some people, but majority of people are like, what the is this? Like, you know, but it doesn't matter now what she puts on the cover. She could have put a thumb on the cover and we'll be like, okay. At some point it won't make a difference. It's like they won't care because they know who she is, they know her story she's writing. They just want to read from Edward's perspective at this point. Like, so it's like whatever. I say I have my shirt finally. Oh, good. Yeah, we all can wear it next time. I only like the I like that cover idea. Yeah, they I saw it. I thought it was interesting enough. I mean, I didn't mind it, but a lot of people was like, I was like, I don't think it's anything special. If she was a nobody writer that I didn't know and I never read her story, I wouldn't really pay attention to that cover in the store. Like I wouldn't. It's like a sliced pomegranate on a black background. That's not what grabs my attention. Like
yeah. I was about to say that's not something I would have picked. Of course, that's how I was when I wrote.
First of all, like the apple and it's holding in the palm of the hand. It's very clever, very artsy looking with the first cover, whatever. But the reason why I even bought the book was because the movie trailer happened when I was at another movie, and I was like, "What's Twilight?" And of course, I always check to see if a movie is a book. So I checked, and it was like, "Oh, this is a series, blah blah, vampires." I'm like, "What?" So I checked it out because I was very into vampires. I don't know how I got by me. Part because it was like YA, and I wasn't out reading YA. I never even read YA. Growing up, I always read adult books. Like my mom didn't care. It was adult stories. It wasn't like it was like erotica. So I didn't never read YA until I was an adult already, which is funny.
Yeah, so, I know. I went and had my cover done. They like, "What do you not want?" I was like, "I do not want just an image on a blank background. I want it to be like a scene."
Right. Exactly. I like layered.
A lot of fantasies. It's like an image and then a blank background or like all paper.
Yeah, I'm very picky about my cover, especially my books, and that's why the artist that I picked and he costs what he costs because I like the way he is very layered and if whatever you want him to do, he will do. But the way his art is very eye grabbing. Like you can't miss. Like he does a lot of art for like metal bands and stuff, and where he's from, and yeah, his work is amazing. So that when I saw that, I like the layered look. It looks very professional. It's just like grabs your attention type of thing. So I was like, yeah, that's what I want. But I just was like, yeah. Key's like, vampires don't sparkle. Well, Key, actually, they kind of do. Well, if you know about vampire lore, that's something she didn't even come up with that. So I'm a very vampire buff, but she did not even come up with that. It's very much in vampire lore, and it's more or less not sparkling so much as like the diamond effect of the skin being hard and the sun hitting a diamond. It does do a ricochet of like shine and sparkle, if you want to say. So that's what that also all that was. And people always want to take out of context because there were mostly people who don't like vampires romanticized. If you don't like vampires romanticized, obviously Twilight would not be the story for you because her vampires are extremely romanticized because the sun doesn't hurt them. They don't have many weaknesses. Besides, of course, having the bloodlust, but they don't even drink blood. At least Edward's family didn't. I mean, they had the vampires and they do very much drink vampire blood, but she didn't have the sun thing. The sun thing isn't always a thing for vampires. And I had this whole talk when I did my video for one of my Mistress of Horror videos. And I talk about vampires and my feelings on vampires. A lot of stuff that they put on vampires is like, bleh. I don't like a lot of that stuff. I make up my own stuff somewhat too, but also a lot comes from actual vampire lore. And there's so many different ones out there. Now, the staking thing has gone off on a tangent because of pop culture. When you go into Blade started it, for one. And then, because I thought Buffy started, Blade really started it. But Blade, at least, when Blade started it, Blade was like, had vampire slaying weapons, which made sense why his weapons could possibly render a vampire to dust. Because it had like sun-based rays and stuff like that. I couldn't possibly let that slide. However, that's if the sun rendering a vampire to dust was actually a thing for every vampire. If we're going to go into that, Belle Tempest, who's Dracula is based off of, was not the first vampire. So the children that he sired, if we're going to go off of his curse, which him cursing God is the reason why the sun's supposed to render vampires to dust. If he sired a vampire, I could possibly see that vampire having the same affliction as him, but that would not then apply to a vampire that was not part of his lineage. There were vampires before Valentine because he was not the first vampire. So saying all vampires should burn in the sun, and then you got people who may not even believe in God, and they're trying to say this religion stuff because that's very religious. Why the vampires to burn in the sun? Because they're trying to say they're cursed by God and they're evil, blah, blah, blah. They don't have souls. You go into this whole tangent thing when it may not even apply to a vampire. Because we go to their low-class demon, maybe you can say that if you would like. But it doesn't mean they're going to get burned by the sun. I mean, it just doesn't. And then Buffy went on a whole thing and made it worse than Blade was like, I'm going to kick this freaking chair over here and stick you in the chest, not necessarily even in the heart, and you got turned to dust. Be like, wait. Now a piece of wood is rendering them to dust. What is this even? It's supposed to maybe stake them and keep them still, because obviously that would mostly staking anybody in the heart. They're not going to probably move anyway. But it's nothing really that special about that. It didn't render them to dust. So they just went off on a whole thing. And then, of course, you know, Angel came from Buffy's show. And then True Blood. They turned to blood spots. It was like, and blowing up and stuff when they got shot with a wooden bullet, and then they were like turned to like blood and stuff. I'm like, this is that's one of the stupidest things ever, is turning a vampire to dust from a stake, or like turn into a blood spot. Like, they might as well just be humans. Like, they're that weak. What is this? Like, they're not supernatural very much at all. Get like, a human can outlive them. You can stab a human with a piece of wood in their heart and they probably will live. Vampires be like, oh my God, these vampires like turn to dust stuff from that. I'm like, all right, I may let the sun thing slide on some of the vampires depending on who sired them. And that really depends on the age of the vampire too. Because if the vampire is like old as, you know, Get Out, that won't even necessarily bother them. Maybe a Nosferatu, because of the way that they are, maybe the sun would bother them. Possibly. But you're going to start to be like, listen, just know. Every vampire is not going to get rendered by the sun. And be like, well, I think that they should. Why do you think that they should? Because, you know, the curse. Listen, just stop. Like, the lore is wide open. There's so many different things about vampires. No, every vampire doesn't get rendered by the dust of the sun. I even said that maybe some vampires made that up. So that way you'll be like, I'm going to get them when the sun is up and they sleeping, and then you come in there and just get destroyed. Maybe they made up so they could eat you. Maybe they made up so they could just walk down the street during the day and you don't know anything. Maybe they don't have to be a dumb peer for that. Maybe they don't have to be half human, half vampire. And then you got the stories that be like, vampires can't have kids because they're forever frozen in time and frozen the way they are. And you got other vampire stories where vampires can sire children. They're like, well, that'd be kind of crazy. I mean, they live for a long time. Really? I mean, because anybody can just come up and stick them with a piece of wood and they die. So apparently they don't live that long. I'm just saying, like, make up your mind what you do.
Yeah, I thought about putting some type of vampire creature into my world or whatever. I might at some point, but it'd be more. I would base it off some folklore or whatever type, but also try to make it more like what I perceive to be like a reality grounding. Yeah. So what I was thinking was having more like albino, like more pale skin, because vampires are known for darkness, so they're not out in the sun to get light. Right. And this whole burning from the sun would just be when you're pale skin and you're outside, you get sunburned a lot easier that way. So not really busting a fire, glistening, but you know, more you would actually get sunburned easier, I guess, or something.
Yeah, I mean,
you kind of approach it.
I was gonna say, yeah, because you can approach it any way you want to. That's why I wasn't telling anybody like don't write that way. But I'm saying don't come at me if I write vampire with the sun don't hurt them. So they came after Stephanie Myers for that reason, because they're like, oh, her vampires sparkle. Like, okay, why does that bother you that much? More or less, it bothers you more that that the vampires are romanticized. Now, if you prefer underworld vampires maybe over, let's say, Anne Rice's vampires. Anne Rice's vampires are also very romanticized. Granted, they may get hurt by something, they're very romanticized. So if you're gonna go that way, you have to dislike all romanticized vampires and just go with, I like the ones from like 28 Days of Night or whatever, that one with this like, oh, it's Alaska and it's knife and the vampires like yeah, they got 30 Days of Night. They got like vampire like piranha teeth and stuff, and they just tearing through the town. Like if you like that type of vampire, that's cool. But like you don't have to like Twilight. I'm not telling anybody to like Twilight, but don't pick apart a type of vampire when you'll be the same person. They'll be like, I love Buffy vampires, and you be like, they get stuck by like Supernova said over here. Let me sharpen this number 2 pencil. I got this. Like True Blood was pretty much that. They had like wooden bullets. Like I'm gonna shoot this blow this gun and destroy this vampire. I'm like, well, these vampires are lame. They are lame. I'm like, I'm sorry. I don't want a supernatural being to be that lame. We got humans for that. I'm like, we got humans for that. Like we don't need to like. No, I like supernatural stuff because it's like, oh, these are powerful. They doing this and doing that. They got these. You got to really try hard to kill them. Now I can understand vampires when they used to do. I like the old way, even with the one with Battle Tempest with the sun and stuff. You got to stake them, and then that just holds them, that paralyzes them type of thing. Then you got to cut their head off, and then you got to like burn them up, burn them to dust or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that definitely I can see doing all that. Okay, you got me with that. Yeah, you do. Or the sun weakening them. I'll take that too. But like, oh, it'll turn to dust because of the sun. I'm not really for that, but I can let that one go. But you saw staking vampires and they turn to dust. Stupid. I'm sorry. I think that's dumb. And I know True Blood did blood. Like that was stupid too. But the dust thing is just dumb because that was connected to the sun. So how is that connected to the wood? Like, because if that's the case, I should be able to get a piece of silver and stick them with that. A sword should render them to dust. I should be able to get a ruby and get the ruby and then get a ruby sword and stick them, because anything that's bound to the earth that God put here should be able to kill them, right? I mean, because that's where we're going with this. Why would God just be like, you know what, the sun, that piece of wood, that's the case. Anything that would be here, an emerald blade, that should take care of them too. An onyx blade, like I'm just saying, like, but no. You're not going. What's that, Key? Right now, I have the picture of beer drinking Tucker vampires feeding at the truck stop. Yeah, I know. That's what you're going. Hey, Novel Now, thanks for joining us. Yeah, we're about to roll out, but we got me talking about vampires. I'm sorry, I'm Mistress Horror. Start talking about no vampires. It's all good. Okay. But yeah, so. Yeah, vampires. It's so many different types of vampires out there, and nobody should try to put it in a box. And then I don't really like, a lot of people did come for Twilight, and they came at Twilight for lots of different reasons, and they don't even know. It could have been a lot worse, because at first she was going to put like her Mormon-based beliefs in it, and some of it was still in there, which I don't think it would work very well for a vampire story. I could be wrong. What do I know? But that's why the editor stuff was like, look, you got to cut some of this. This is not going to work. So she changed it based to that too. And then the ending from the movie, that ending, that the first one where like everybody was getting killed and stuff, and it was like a war stuff. That was her original ending, and they told her to change it to the other one. So that's why when they put it in the movie, the second one. So that type of thing, when you are traditionally published, they make choices for you that you weren't really going to go with. So I actually like that, the dream sequence ending. I actually like that a little bit better than that. I mean, a lot of people did die, but that's, you're not gonna forget that kind of stuff, though. I'm just saying. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, when I was doing my video about the vampire thing, and I was telling people like, okay, well, if you're going to come for Twilight, then you got to tear all of them apart. Don't be like, well, those vampires sparkle and they didn't have any weaknesses, and blah 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 about the vampires, and they're just not drinking people's blood. Well, there were one when they're drinking blood. It wasn't just that. But I'm like, don't be that person that's trying to tear that apart and be over there like in Buffy. Just saying, that's not better. It's not. We're gonna tear stuff apart. We can tear it all apart. Let's just tear it all down. And then of course you got the people that's gonna be like, I didn't like Twilight because it was an abusive relationship. I'm like, all right, first, I'm just going to tell you, take your human issues and take them away from when you're reading a supernatural book. I know you can't always because you're you, but that's fine. But let's not try to push human issues on vampires. Like, but there's humans in it. Okay, this is fiction. This is a supernatural being. Someone who's 100 years old, or Edward's case, 115, whatever, who's a vampire, concepts are not going to work the same as a human who's not lived as a vampire. So you have to kind of, I know you can't look outside the box that you're in, but you need to try to see past yourself and the human issues that we live in. For a fiction supernatural novel, those things do not apply here. Now, a writer can apply those in their book, but if the writer did not, don't beat the writer down because they did not write this story specifically for you and whatever you're sensitive to, whatever issues you may have to go through or have gone through, or the issues that you are dealing with in the world. You cannot fault that writer because they did not cater to everything that you feel. That's not possible, because then the other person who they didn't cater to is also going to feel bad or whatever. You kind of have to just figure out stuff for yourself. Like, this book isn't for me. That's it. Leave it at that. If I don't like a book, I'm like, this book is not for me, and leave it at that. I'm not gonna be like, this is junk. I don't like this. This is crap, and this is crap, and this is crap. And then some people get into the writer and start digging into the writer. Like, stop. If you don't like something, just don't like it. When I don't like stuff, I just roll it out of here. Like, and just like, I don't like Western stuff no more. I don't look at Western shows anymore at all, because what happened was a lot of politics and a lot of whatever started getting involved in every show that came on TV, and I just wanted to be there for the fiction stuff and not really be in it for because what's going on in my real life. Like, I do reading and watching shows and do video gaming to escape reality. I don't need my reality put into my fiction and what I'm trying to escape it. That's me, though. I'm not telling everybody to be that way, but that's what I do. So when they started doing that a lot here in the West, I was like, you know what? I was already watching a lot of Japanese stuff and things. I grew up watching Japanese stuff. I speak Japanese. So, you know, I was like, okay, dramas get really, you know, that's a big thing. So I checked it out. Love K-dramas. Now I watch Chinese dramas. I was already watching Japanese dramas, and I only watch like Asian-based shows. I was already into Bollywood to begin with. I kind of backed down off of that a little bit because I'm into the K-dramas now. But that stuff fits my mentality better. So that's what I look at. So somebody's like, hey, Danny, this new show on. I'm like, what was it from? Like, and they be like, oh, it's this new show on Netflix. I'm like, is it a K-drama? They be like, no. I'm like, well, I probably don't know what it is. And that's just me. That's who I am. Sorry. What's that key? Okay, about Stephanie Meyer's books has more to do with her writing style. Characters irritate the hell out of me. Oh, that's fine. And you don't have to like anybody's writing style. And I've heard that. The funny thing is, I don't care for Stephanie Meyer's writing style, but I did enjoy the stories because I like most things that's vampire based. I've seen most, even some I could tear apart. Now, I watched Buffy. I watched Angel. I liked them when I was watching them. But when I see people tearing other things apart, I'm like, look, I can tear this part too, because that's what they say. Oh, they'll see a picture like this vampire is sparkling, and they'll show like Anne Rice's like interview with the vampire. Like, I'm sorry, and some people are going to really be mad when I say this. Interview with the Vampire movie was terrible. It was one of the worst vampire movies I ever seen in my life. People were like, what? That was one of the best. I'm like, Tom Cruise sucked as a vampire. Like, I love Tom Cruise as a spy. Please, Tom Cruise never play a vampire. He was terrible at it. They just went and got the most attractive men at the time. Tom Cruise, Antonio Banderas, Brad Pitt, and I can't remember if it was another guy. All the best looking guys at the time. And they were like, be vampires. They weren't even cast well as vampires. None of them was good as vampires. I think Brad Pitt did okay as Louis, but it was terrible. It was not good because the main characters, like, they did not do these characters justice based off the books I've been reading all this time. And everyone's like all up in Interview with the Vampires, like, movie, like, this is the best vampire movie, the blood of the bum. Like, did you read her books? Like, yeah, this interview. I'm like, I hate that movie. And then they come for like Queen of the Damned. They're like, that's so terrible. I'm like, I'm sorry, but Stewart Townsend was a better Lestat than Tom Cruise. He was. Sorry to burst your bubble. His acting was better and everything. Tom Cruise is an amazing actor, but he was not good as a vampire. Like, please don't ever do that again. It was cringeworthy. Like, that whole movie was like, no. I can't even look at it again because of that. I cannot. But That's not that great of a movie. So let's people. I've been like the Anne Rice book group, and they always talking about Interview with the Vampire. Like somebody said, "What vampire movie should I look at?" It like Interview with the Vampire. I was like, "Why are you telling people lies? Why are you telling people lies?" I just don't like it. I just I just cannot stand the movie.
What the fuck? Strain or something. It was a TV show that came on FX. We started watching that, and one of our friends was watching. It's like, what the why do they have like long tongues coming out of their mouths? It's like that's how it is in some folklore.
This is true.
Right? Like just take it off that. I was like,
he was like, I don't know about that. Oh my, yeah, she definitely does describe scenes very heavily in her books. It's true. This is true. Some writers are just like that. I'm like, I'm not doing all that. I will do some, but I'll balance of it. I'm not gonna do that. Anyway. But all right, guys. So let's get out of here. I'll let DL, you go ahead and do your closing because I can talk about vampires forever, dude.
Oh, I could too, but
I love
vampires, zombies, shit like that.
Oh yeah, I can talk about zombies forever. We should do that one time. We're gonna like just have a stream. We talk about nothing but like monsters and shit.
Hell yeah.
Let's do that.
Do it.
All right.
But I'm DL Stewart. I write adult medieval fantasy. My debut novel, The Battle for Medagore, is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and most other places in ebook and paperback. The ebook's like 99 cents. Paperback, I don't know what it's set to right now. My audiobook for that should be out soon. It's going through quality assurance. They told me it could take a month, and that was on the 15th of last month.
Might
3
be cold.
days, hopefully. Unless something comes up, I don't know. They haven't let us know, but they said it should take about a month. Cool. So that should be available soon. And then I do videos every Monday on my channel, and I have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, Patreon, a website, all that fun stuff. So,
amen. His links are below if you want to check it out. If you have not picked up his book, please do. The link for that is below as well. And look out for that audio book. I know I'll be picking up a copy of that. I'm author DL Tillery, and this is my channel. We do these streams on Tuesdays. If I skip a Tuesday, I will always let you know ahead of time, but we do try to stick to every Tuesday. We tend to have 3 questions a night. We didn't do that tonight because we wanted to try to stay on target, but I still went past that because you guys have to bring up vampires. You know, you just had to do that to me. You made me be here longer. Okay, I'm just saying. So I have videos on Saturdays. That's my Mistress of Horror series. You can check those out if you have not seen them. I usually talk about something based to horror, rather that be books, writing horror mixed genres. I think last week I talked about horror romance. I had 2 videos on that. And I may talk about video games that have horror based stories, or I'll talk about cinema as well. So check that out on Saturdays with me, and I will see you next Tuesday on the channel. And you can follow any of us in the links below. Our tribe links are down there, so check some of them out. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to the channel, and check everyone out and subscribe to their channels too. All right, we'll see you guys next week. Take care and happy writing. See ya.